Midlife fatigue isn't one thing. It's two things and they need opposite fixes. And that's why nothing has been working. That's why the advice you keep getting doesn't match what your body is doing. And it's why so many women in perimenopause and postmenopause end up more exhausted after months of trying to fix it than they were when they started. I want to tell you about a moment I'll never forget. I was in the middle of perimenopause. My energy was gone, not tired gone, like bone deep gone, the kind of tired where getting out of a chair is a decision. And I'm someone who's always thrived on exercise my whole life. Working out is where I felt like myself. So on this particular day, I was like, enough is enough. I'm going to the gym. I put on my workout clothes. I got in the car. I started driving. And halfway there, I had to pull over on the side of the road. I was crying. I was shaking because the effort of getting dressed and driving had used up whatever energy I had. And I couldn't even get to the gym, let alone work out once I got there. And I remember sitting there in the car thinking like, I don't know what else to try. The thing that has always given me energy is the thing I can't do. And I don't know why. And here's what I didn't know then and what I'm going to walk you through today. I was doing the wrong fix for the kind of fatigue I actually had. So if you've ever had a moment like that where you're doing all the things you think should give you energy and it's not working and you don't know why, this video is for you. By the end of it, you're going to know which of the two kinds of fatigue you have right now, why the advice you've been getting hasn't worked, and what actually can turn it around. Okay, so the reason I'm making this video today is because I recently heard about a woman, not someone I know personally, but I heard this story, who is in postmenopause. She's in the healing arts, incredibly healthy lifestyle, knows more modalities and does more for her health than most people by a factor of 10. But all the things she was doing, juicing and cleansing, were for stuck energy, and her energy had become depleted. So it didn't work. She finally said, I think I just need to surrender to this fatigue and let it run its course, which is incredibly courageous and incredibly difficult. And when I heard that story, it broke my heart because I could see so clearly what was happening. And I could see that she was about to spend months, maybe years, trying to rest her way out of something that could be speeded up so much by rest plus restorative herbs. And I thought, there are so many women in exactly this spot right now, doing everything they know how to do and getting more tired and concluding it's just aging, it's just menopause, there's nothing left to try, this is just how life is now. So today I want to give you the piece that's almost always missing when women in perimenopause and postmenopause talk about fatigue. And this is coming from someone who went from having no energy to having incredible energy, like 10, 15 years later. Because midlife fatigue isn't one thing, it's two, and they need opposite fixes. So in Chinese medicine, when we look at fatigue, the very first question we ask isn't how tired are you? It's this: is your energy depleted or is your energy stuck? Because both of these feel like fatigue. Both of these mean you don't have energy available to live your life. From the outside, they can look identical, but underneath, they're opposite problems and they need opposite solutions. Depleted fatigue is when the tank is actually empty. There is not enough fuel in the system. Your body has been giving out or losing more energy than it's been able to make, sometimes for years. Stuck fatigue is when there's energy in the system, but it's not flowing. It's blocked somewhere. So even though the fuel is there, you can't use it. None of it is reaching where it needs to go. And here's a wild thing. If you're depleted, the things you do to move stuck energy, like cleansing or more intense exercise, fasting, sweating it out, will likely make you more depleted because there's not enough water in the river to move around. Like cleansing takes energy, exercise takes energy, sweating is a detox, it takes energy. You don't have energy for any of that. So trying to do it just depletes the little bit that you have left. Whereas if you're stuck, the things you do to refill depleted energy, like resting and tonifying and adding more supplements and eating nourishing foods, will make you more stuck because you're pouring more water into a river that's already blocked by a dam. It just backs up. This is the mismatch that often keeps midlife women stuck for years. So I want to talk about, how do you tell which camp you're in? There's a few tells that I look for. If rest actually helps even a little, you're likely depleted. When depleted fatigue gets rest, some energy comes back. Maybe not all of it, but there's some return. You wake up from a nap, you feel a little better. The most energy you have might be in the morning after sleeping, and then it just runs out at some point during the day. If rest doesn't help or makes you feel worse, you're likely stuck. Stuck fatigue doesn't respond to rest. Sometimes rest actually makes it worse because the stuckness builds up. You sleep 10 hours and wake up more tired than you went to bed. Whereas getting some movement after you've been up for a few hours, energy gets better with a little exercise. You've been awake for longer, right? Needs to get moving and then it's there. As opposed to waking up, doing a few things, and it's used up. Okay. So if cleansing, fasting, or more intense workouts wipe you out for days, you're likely depleted. Depleted people just aren't ready for those tools. There's nothing to fuel them. If you're feeling better after moving, even when you didn't want to move, but you got out there and did it and then you felt better, you're likely stuck. Stuck people usually feel worse before they exercise and better after because the movement unblocked something. If your fatigue came on slowly after years of like running hard and, burning the candle at all the ends, depleted is a little more likely, the tank drained gradually. If your fatigue came on really suddenly and you always had a lot of energy and it happened at a time of hormonal change, like early perimenopause, stuck is actually a little bit more likely. Something got blocked, fuel is still there. And here's a part I never hear anybody talk about. Once you figure out which one you are, that changes, right? Because if you're depleted and you refill the tank, you eventually become stuck. Okay, so let me say that again. Here's the part nobody talks about. Once you figure out which one you are, depleted or stuck, and you do the things for it for a while, all of a sudden you're now in the other camp. If you're depleted and you refill the tank enough, you'll eventually become stuck. All this new energy, your body probably needs a little help keeping it circulating. Okay, now you have energy that needs to move. If you're stuck and you get things flowing and you push and move for too long, you eventually become depleted because moving uses up energy. So this isn't a diagnosis you get once. It's a dance. It's like move, tonify. Knowing which one you're in right now and when to switch to the other one is the skill. So let me show you what this looks like in real life. The woman in the healing arts I mentioned earlier, post-menopause, exhausted, doing everything, and everything for stuck energy was not helping at all. When I heard her story, everything she was doing, juices and cleansing and fasting and sweating and detoxes, it wasn't helping because she was depleted. The tank was empty and she was doing all the things that move stuck energy, which is making her more depleted, not less. If she knew she was depleted instead of stuck, which wasn't her usual pattern most of her life, which is why she didn't recognize it, but it happened. If she knew that, her whole protocol would flip. Warm, cooked, nourishing food, gentler movement, deep sleep priority, herbs that refill the tank instead of moving what's not there. Now, compare that to a woman I worked with named Jenny in really early perimenopause, lifelong athlete. She used to ride her bike everywhere, grocery shopping, errands with her 2 young girls in bike seats. Like, she was so vibrant, strong, and fit. And then practically overnight, she became so exhausted right in the early perimenopause that she could barely cook dinner, let alone play with her kids. And she came to me and said, Dana, I'm ready to go on hormones tomorrow if I have to. I can't live like this. And I said, let's give the herbs 12 weeks. Let's just try it. Jenny was stuck. Her energy was there. She'd been thriving on it her whole life. Something in perimenopause had blocked the flow. If she had surrendered to it and rested, like the healing arts woman was about to do, she would have gotten more stuck, not less. She needed movement, the right movement, and herbs that unblocked what was already there in her system. 12 weeks later, she was back on her bike and she told me, not only do I feel like myself again energy-wise, my period, which had become really painful, is back to how it was in my 20s. Same symptom of fatigue, opposite fix. If Jenny had done the Healing Arts Woman's protocol, she'd have gotten worse. If the Healing Arts program had done Jenny's protocol, which she'd sort of been trying to do, she'd have gotten worse. And this is why generic midlife fatigue advice fails so many women. Half the internet is telling you to push harder, half is telling you to surrender. And only one of them is right for you right now. And it'll flip in a few months. You need to know how to do both and how to know when to do which one. So, here's what makes Chinese herbs different from almost every other tool you can use for fatigue. Chinese herbs, when they're matched to your pattern, do the right thing for the state you're actually in. If you're depleted, they refill the tank. If you're stuck, they move what's blocked. Same category of tool aimed precisely at what your body needs right now. But Chinese medicine takes it even further. It doesn't just say, let's refill your energy. It asks, what kind of energy? Is it your energy savings account, your reserves, hormonal fuel, the deep stuff? Or is it more your energy for everyday digestion, movement, exercise, getting through the day? Is it your cooling energy or your warming energy, right? We want all your different energies to be equally full and balanced. And this level of fine tuning is the reason herbs succeed when everything else has only partially worked. Most energy tools are like getting an extension cord close to the outlet and hoping something connects. Chinese herbs matched properly are like plugging directly into the socket. And the herbs build in something else that other tools don't. When you start adding energy, sometimes the body needs help using it. Chinese herbs have so many built in strategies for making sure the energy you're adding actually gets where it needs to go. Which is why women who have tried a lot of things, like supplements, HRT, protocols, cleanses, adaptogens, often find that Chinese herbs are the piece that finally moves the needle and help all those other things to be something their body can actually benefit from. Because when the herbs are aimed at the actual state of your body, not a generic version of midlife fatigue, the results are completely different. Now, in this story, herbs are the hero, but they do work best alongside a few lifestyle pieces that are true for almost every midlife woman. At this stage of life, keeping muscle and bone is not optional. Strength training, enough steps, enough protein, enough fiber, these are foundational whether you're depleted or stuck. Your exercise is just going to be very gentle if you're depleted. From there, it customizes. If you're depleted, warm, cooked, nourishing foods, gentler movement, prioritized sleep, dimmed lights at night, morning, natural light, protein at breakfast, fewer intense workouts, more stability. If you're stuck, more vigorous strength training, more mobility, jump training, more cleansing foods, and a hard, honest look at what's blocked. Is it stress? Is it digestion? Is it sleep quality? Is something not flowing? Herbs, the right herbs plus the right lifestyle piece for your state. That's how midlife fatigue actually turns around. And I'm just going to throw one other little tip in here. Sometimes when you're depleted, you also need to look and see, is there a leak? Is this something other than just burning the candle at both ends? Has a leak developed in my energy system that I need to seal before the replenishing herbs can actually fill up the bucket? Like, am I trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it? So that's a different topic, but I did just want to mention it. So I want to close by saying that woman crying in the car on the way to the gym, that was me like 15 years ago. I was depleted, deeply depleted, and I was forcing myself to do the exercise routine that had always worked for me, which was the wrong protocol for my body at that moment. I was making it worse. And once I figured out that I was depleted, not lazy, not broken, not just aging, the whole thing turned around. And I did also have a couple of leaks that I found. But I stopped fighting my body and I started matching what I was doing to what it actually needed. And that was the beginning of everything I now teach. I built the whole system I use with my clients out of what got me through those years. And here I am, almost 60, hiking mountains, canoeing 100 miles in the backcountry, traveling more than ever, feeling stronger than I did at 40. Not because I'm lucky, because I stopped guessing and I took the right actions at the right times. Menopause, it changed everything for me. And Chinese herbs are how I changed what came next, how I changed it for the better. So if you're wondering how Chinese herbs fit alongside food, movement, and lifestyle, and why they work brilliantly for some women but not others, the best place to start is my free Menopause Kickstart mini course. I'll walk you through the 3 secrets that completely changed how I use herbs and why my 50s became healthier than my 40s. The link is in the description below. Whatever kind of fatigue you're in right now, depleted or stuck, please don't surrender to it. There is a match for your body. You just haven't found it yet. And when you do, it can help turn it around so much more quickly. I can't wait to see you in the next video. I'm Dana Lavoie from Making Menopause Easy.